This is just a reminder to all the sice that just because it's dry and 8 degrees in your English suburb does not mean that'll still be the case when you get up a hill in Wales. It's a tad whiter than I expected. My legs are absolutely shot today, fully shot. So I was originally going to come up and have a go at the hill I've just done, which is called the Sunspot. I just didn't have the legs. I just couldn't do it. So I've decided I'll consciously keep it zone 2, zone 3, just to push on. I'm hopefully going to go and have a go at the old Bwlch on the way home, just see if there's anything left in the legs. It's not going to be a PR because my PR is actually quite good up there. So yeah, I'll leave the cameras on, I think, and show some whiteness on the road. Right, see you in a bit. Oh, it's beautiful. Yes, it is. I'm just at the bottom. Well, this is that same road that runs along the back of the Clwyds, but the absolute opposite end of it. So in about 3k, I'll go past the bottom of the shelf, and I'll keep going up to Penbarra, the old Bwlch. It's the road's called Bwlch Penbarra, which in Welsh is just, I don't know, Penbarra, pass. Bwlch just means pass. But all the locals know it as the old Bwlch. But since Simon Warren's books that made it famous, it's been called Penbarra. Either one is fine. My legs are shot, absolutely shot to shit. So I'm going to give it a full gas effort. We'll see how we go. Probably now familiar to you, the site of St Peter's Church, Penbarra Dyffryn Clwyd, and here I am at the bottom of the old Bwlch. There's the elevation stats. So yeah, 260 metres of elevation, average 11%. I feel like that doesn't do justice to quite how hard this climb feels, and I think that's because of the long parts of relatively steep ascent. But you turn off the new Bwlch, the climb I did a few weeks ago, and you turn up this pretty narrow road that's a bit horrible, and it's got speed strips on it and stuff. It's generally a bit of a grim start to this climb, although the gradient isn't too bad, to be fair. At least you're only having to deal with rough surfaces or steep gradients for most of this. It feels quite strange as you're almost in the suburbs, really, as suburban as Wales gets, riding between houses and so on this, yeah, really rough surface. And there's like a fast flowing river to the left of you, and generally it feels quite built up, but you're about to open up onto, in my opinion, the best and the hardest climb in the Clwydian Hills. It is my favourite climb. I know I say that all the time. I know some of you are laughing already. It is my favourite climb within a normal ride of my house, within the Clwyd range. Not, without doing a 200-kilometre day or whatever. This is like my old best mate. I love this climb. I would do every ride coming back this way if I could. It's how much I love this hill. It is unrelentingly hard in places, but it's just beautiful, start to finish. It's the sort of tough that I absolutely love. So here you come to a tiny little road junction and you turn left, and me and my dad in our younger days used to approach it from the right side there. You basically do the two switchbacks of the new Bwlch and it cuts off that first steep bit, and before Strava that was fine, but since Strava told us that that's not the segment, we stopped doing that. The only problem with this climb is that it goes up to an incredibly popular hill at the top that all of Liverpool want to come out to. Every Scouser in the world, every Scouser in Liverpool, when it's a nice day, wants to come for a walk up Bwlch, and that's the hill at the top of this road, which leads to some problem driving, and this being busier than I'd like for how narrow it is. So you can see I've passed a couple of cars, and there's a point where I have to make allowances to let them through. because as you can see, the gradient's now pretty consistently over 15%. From where I am up to the switchback corner, the sharp hairpin, is really steep, pretty consistently, and I always struggle with pacing on this one. I'm never sure whether to go full gas to the corner and then say, well, it's going to get easier afterwards, or whether to try and give a steady pace all the way through. This first half is quite visually boring. You can see high hedges, very traditional Welsh. Not an awful lot to say about it, but the higher you get up, the more you can see a view back down the valley to your right. I'm just coming up to arguably the hardest bit. This feels incredibly slow, actually. But the hardest part of this climb, in my opinion, is the final straight up to the hairpin bend, because it's probably consistently 15 to 20%. It's got a cattle grid on it, which is always challenging, doubly so when there's snow everywhere. And you know that it ends with a hairpin where you can either go round the outside and hope there's nothing coming, or take the inside and accept that it's upward of 25%, maybe so much as 30%. I have filmed this before, as I said. You may be familiar with it because I made it my first ever video when I got my Garmin Verb. I didn't do a voiceover, I didn't do any picture-in-picture, I'm not even sure if there were stats on it, and I went up it very slowly. But I wanted to show off, you know, my favourite climb, and that was a year and a bit ago. I wanted to do it justice, and really I wanted to do a video where I got a PR for you, like for the YouTubes. I wanted to do a full gas effort up here to show how hard it is and get a PR. But the opportunity to come up it today in this snow, I just thought it looked magnificent, and especially the second half as we get there. As I approach this corner, I'm stuck with that problem of getting around it, and this time I chose to go up the inside, and it is mega steep, and I actually really regretted that. It was too much power. My power meter dropped out. I didn't do 0 watts there. I'd have fallen off if I was doing 0 watts. But that was hard. That was properly steep. I used to do that all the time when I was younger, and I think I've said this before, that I think when you're really light, gradients just don't matter so much. So when I was coming up here as a junior, I was maybe 55 kilos, which is crazy. That's, you know, more than 10 kilos lighter than I am now, and I used to love taking the steep side of that corner. But now I'm chunky boy. I can't do that, which is very sad. That ice in the middle of the road was starting to concern me a little bit. I did think, oh, it's not a problem. Everything's melted. It's all cool. But you do get obviously higher and higher for this, so I was a little bit concerned as I came round here. And I've basically had a howling tailwind for this whole thing. It was incredibly strong wind behind me, at least until the corner, and then you can see I sort of change heading again here, so that wind's behind me again. Couldn't get my gears to mesh. This is something I've been whinging about for ages, and it's taken me this long to realise I've got 9-speed shifters and a 10-speed derailleur, so, you know, if there's anything you want to laugh at me about today, the fact that that's been annoying me for so long might be reasonable. So here, there's some respite from the intense gradients, sort of 7 to 10% along this section, and I think if I were to be really attacking this in the best way possible, I'd be getting speed up here. But I just couldn't do it today. It just didn't feel like I was getting anywhere. On my Garmin, it looked like, until the corner, that I was about equal with my PR, and I was chasing Illy Gardner this week. It was going to be a toss-up between her, Giles, and Feather, but I guess Illy, your time was nearest mine. I was never even touching that, obviously. But anyway, after the corner, I just hemorrhaged time to my PR. I couldn't do it, and that's why you've just heard me say I've blown, because I was really trying to hold the power consistent. But you turn this final bend and you can see the road snake all the way up to that gap in the hills up there in the pass, and I just couldn't keep pushing it. I just didn't have the legs. Now, you heard me say at the beginning that I was really tired on this ride, and I was, and I started the old Bwlch thinking anything faster than 12 minutes is like a real achievement. It's a hard hill, and faster than 12 minutes is a good time. But up to the corner, when I thought that I was close to matching my PB, suddenly I start to think, wow, I'm going to set a PR on my winter bike while I'm tired. That's how good form I'm in. And then when that didn't happen, my mentality just became super negative really, really quickly. What's the point? You've got a massive tailwind. You thought you were up. You know, why can't you hold it? And it was all going. I'm going to leave my sort of outro when we get to the top in, so you can see just how negative I was about it. But honestly, I'm quite embarrassed. It's really embarrassing. These are good powers I'm doing for being realistic for what I'm capable of. Doing that massive effort up to here and still putting out 300 plus watts for most of it when it rears up again, with fatigue in my legs, yeah, on my heavy winter bike. I know that doesn't affect your power, but it does affect your sensation of speed. All of that is something I should feel really positive about, but I just couldn't persuade myself to today. So in terms of the climb, isn't it lovely in the snow? Look at all of this. I just think it's really pretty to watch this in a different perspective on a hill that I've done before, especially the view behind me over the Vale of Clwyd. It is not far from being over now, but this is where you have to really dig deep. I don't know, but I suspect that if I looked at the times that most of the top hill climbers have done, they'll have put really strong digs in here. I've never learnt the art of doing that. I'm always cooked by this point, and that's okay, you know. that's the way I do it. But I am actually I'm happy that I've decided to give it another go rather than just capitulating, even though I was in a bad mood. I think Nick of a year ago would have just written everything off as being shit, and what's even the point, and gone down into my lowest gear and done 200 watts and come home and said that I was quitting cycling forever. So I'm glad I didn't do that. But to potentially spoil the surprise, this was only my 5th best time up the old Bwlch ever. However, it was my 2nd best power of all time, and it was only 5 watts down on my PB power, which was on a good legs day on my good bike where I'd done no other efforts, etc. So actually, you know, it's an effort I should be proud of, which makes my outro even more embarrassing when we get to it. And you can see there is a power drop-off after the corner. That's where basically the power drop-off happens. You can see the corner by my power drop-out completely. And my heart rate was nowhere near as high as this said. I had a faulty heart rate monitor I've since replaced. I really wasn't at 200 BPM. But the power profile was something I should be proud of. I'm very happy that I managed to push up. And what a glorious finish. In all this snow, there were scousers at the top telling me to get off the road, but I didn't film that because I didn't want it to spoil the video. And I apologise for what you're about to witness. Thank you for watching the video, guys. That was the old Bwlch. The old Bwlch. Pretty disappointed in myself. Quite a poor effort. I was up on my time until the corner, and then I invested a bit too much. Should have kept it steady, but I invested too much and I blew my PR. I should know this. My PR came when I was able to keep the power metered out all the way to the end. I wasn't actually watching my power at all. I'm going to throw in a load of excuses. That snow's definitely holding me back. Heavy bottles, heavy bike, you know. But I've also got like a gale force tailwind, so I can't do it today. I need to take a look at myself. I need to say, Nick, what do you want to be good at? Because at the moment you're mediocre at everything. Focus if you want to be good. So yeah, it was tough. It was really tough. Beautiful though. I couldn't just leave it there, so here's 30 seconds of nice snowy footage. While I say I've had a good few weeks on the bike since then, and I'm really enjoying riding my bike, and I don't believe I'm just mediocre at everything, and actually I'm very happy with how I'm training. That was a silly wobble that I wanted to leave in so that you guys see that's sort of how I think sometimes, but really, I'm no one. I'm decent at riding the bike and I'm enjoying it, so that's all that matters.